Hello again. I've remarked before, and freely admit once again, that I am no sort of intellectual. I'm not, of course, a fool, but that doesn't make me any more intelligent than the next man. What I do have a knack for, though, is spotting when people are being shifty and evasive. And I'm also happy to speak out loud about things which others, with perhaps a misplaced sense of delicacy, would rather leave unsaid. So it is with the housing crisis in Britain, which is getting worse by the day. Finding rented accommodation is all but impossible in many parts of the country. And where it's not impossible, often the accommodation, the flats and the houses are too expensive for ordinary people to be able to afford. Everybody seems to be pretending that this is some sort of mystery. It is not. The chief reason why there are not enough houses and flats available for rent is really, really simple. In the description to this video, I give a link to a news item which appeared on this subject on the BBC website a couple of hours ago. It is headed, "Renting, number of UK homes available down by a third." Almost incredibly, the article manages to waffle on without once mentioning why there is a shortage of rented property. There is only one brief reference which alludes indirectly to the cause. I'll quote, "The total number of rented properties in the UK hasn't actually fallen. In fact, it has barely moved since 2016. But people are finding it difficult because they're competing with far more other people in their search for a home. So there are fewer properties on the market at any one time." Why are people competing with far more people in their search for a home? We're not told. Allow me to explain what nobody wishes to say. In the year ending June 2022, the population of Britain increased by over 500,000 people. The driver for this was net immigration to this country. In other words, more people arriving than leaving. 500,000 more people. Most of those immigrants could not afford to buy a house, and so they rented places. Does anybody think this might perhaps have some bearing on the shortage of rented property? The population of this country has risen by millions since 2016, but as the BBC article explains, there are not any more rented properties available. Anybody see a link, cause and effect here? If millions of foreigners have come to this country and are hunting around for somewhere to live, does nobody honestly realise that this will have the effect of creating a shortage of rented accommodation? As I say, I am of no more than average intelligence, and so there might be another obvious explanation for what we are seeing, beside the one which springs to my mind at once. What, if anything, am I missing here? If I can see this, why can't the BBC or newspapers? Why won't people talk about the reason for the fact that younger members of our families are finding it all but impossible to get an affordable flat?